We just don't know what to do.
A soldier in the Rhodesian army patrols a village suspected of harboring guerrillas.
You go into a village after one of your mates has been killed, and you feel bad. And they say they've never seen or heard of a terrorist. And you beat the hell out of them.
We'll take this man with us for questioning, but he won't be harmed, all right?
Atrocities are committed by both sides. 30,000 African civilians are killed. White Rhodesians are also victims. 48,000 decide to leave. Many move to South Africa. April 1980. The war in Rhodesia is over. Robert Mugabe's ZANU-PF party has won the country's first free elections. Britain's empire in Africa has gone. As leader of independent Zimbabwe, Mugabe extends a hand of friendship to the 100,000 whites who choose to stay.
Oppression and racism must never again find scope in our political and social system. It could never be a correct justification that because the whites oppressed us yesterday, when they had power, the blacks must oppress them today. Long live our independence.
London is the place for me. London, this lovely city.
As thousands leave Britain for the white Commonwealth, the British government calls for workers from the Caribbean to help build the post-war economy. By 1962, over 250,000 West Indians have arrived in Britain, tempted by the promise of work and a better life.
I am glad to know my mother country.
Jamaican poet Louise Bennett.
What a joyful news, Miss Mattie. I feel like my heart going burst. Jamaica people colonizing England in reverse. Them a pour out of Jamaica. Everybody future plan is to get a big time job and settle in the motherland.
To live in London you are really comfortable, because the English people are very much sociable.
But the government's open door policy awakens prejudice within many Britons. Reporting for the Kingston Star, Richard West.
At Waterloo Station on Saturday afternoon, a policeman watched the hundreds of West Indians who had just come off the boat train. Well, that's the last of them, he said with a pleased smile. But his taxi driver friend replied, "Too bloody late, mate. The country's been overrun already."
Arriving in London from Barbados, Colin Jemmett.
The English are clever. They ran their empire by a confidence trick. We were given an English education. We were told England was the greatest country in the world. We came here, and to our surprise, found you wouldn't accept us.
Many British people have struggled to rebuild their lives since the war. They resent the growing influx of black immigrants.
The British working class fought for 70 years and more to drag itself up to a decent standard of living. Now they come in and reap all the benefit.
A landlady in Salford.
I don't take blacks. I'm sorry for the darkies that I am. But I know what the neighbours would say. Look at Mrs. So-and-so. She really has come down in the world.
Most immigrants are offered menial jobs, regardless of their training and skills.
They want us to work, but not anywhere. Look at all the West Indians in London transport.
When I look around the city of London, I do not find educated colored men working in banks or as policemen. You can't get a good job, the sort of job you are capable of doing. You have to take what you can get, what other people don't want.
West Indian activists campaign against the growing racism. From Trinidad, Claudia Jones.
If all the colored people were thrown into the sea, it wouldn't solve the housing problems or provide enough jobs. One reason behind the race prejudice is that Britain is an imperial country. But colored people are now demanding their freedom and expect to be treated as equals.
But in 1962, the Conservative government passes the Commonwealth Immigrants Act, restricting entry to Britain from within the empire. West Indians dub it the Colour Bar Bill. Many white Britons are appalled.
Is this really the best way to integrate people? How do immigrants already here feel to be told, yes, you can stay, but we don't want any more of your sort? These policies will lead to exactly the social disaster they want to avoid.
Fear and ignorance.
But racial hostility towards black Britons continues to grow.
Intelligent fools you lot you are. You're gonna cut because of the color of their skin. What can you do about this? Nothing.
By 1968, the entry of thousands of Asians into Britain, many expelled from the former colony of Kenya, prompts the Labour government to pass a second Commonwealth Immigrants Act. For some, however, the controls are not enough. In a speech in Birmingham, Conservative MP Enoch Powell.
In 15 or 20 years, there will be, in this country, 3.5 million Commonwealth immigrants. Whole areas will be occupied by the immigrant population. It is like watching a nation busily engaged in heaping up its own funeral pyre. I am filled with foreboding. Like the Roman, I seem to see the river Tiber foaming with much blood.
Powell is thrown out of the shadow cabinet the day after his Rivers of Blood speech. But a national poll shows that 74% of the population agree with him.
I think it is monstrous that the man has been sacked from the shadow cabinet for telling the truth. We want a complete ban on immigration, or we want all post-war immigrants sent back to their homelands.
I love my country. I can see it being run down by a load of traitors. I want my own culture, my own ear, what I fought
for. Oscar Hahn of the West Midlands Race Relations Board.
If Mr. Powell wants to tell more than 1 million citizens of this country that because they're coloured, they're unwanted here, this is an act of brutality from which this country could never morally recover.
Throughout the 1970s, many Commonwealth immigrants become increasingly isolated within British society. Indian-born factory worker Rampal.
I often wonder in my heart why English people do not